guys, Jeannine here with another review for you. So I love the holidays, I love horror movies, and so all month long on our podcast, Morgan Hasn't Seen, where obviously I make Morgan watch movies he hasn't seen, we are talking holiday horror movies. And we actually kicked off that series this week with Black Christmas 2019. Not a great film by any means, but definitely brought up some great discussion in terms of the admirable intentions of what the director was trying to do and themes she was trying to kind of bring light to, but ultimately a pretty failed execution. So we definitely had a great conversation about how this movie kind of didn't, achieve kind of the admirable ideas that it was trying to put forth. So check out that discussion on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed. All places podcasts can be found. We'll be talking holiday horror films all month. But since we did kick off that series with Black Christmas 2019, I thought it would be fun to kind of take a look back at the other versions of Black Christmas, the 2006 remake, and of course, the original film from 1974. So today I'm going to give you my thoughts and a little review on Black Christmas 1974. The film was directed by Bob Clark, who oddly enough is the same director of The Christmas Story, or A Christmas Story, two Christmas films with very much different vibes, and starring Olivia Hussey, a pre-Superman Margot Kidder, and the sax man John Saxon. Yeah. So this film is a Canadian horror film and ultimately kind of credited for the birth of the slasher genre. This movie is given a lot of credit for kind of the kind of themes and tropes and typical things we now know as a slasher genre in horror. So yeah, this movie I think is really important to the horror genre and definitely deserves to be recognized, not just in the holiday season, but all the time. You know, I don't really hear Olivia Hussey get mentioned too much in terms of like favorite final girls, but I think she's great in this film and kind of important to kind of what this movie symbolizes as a whole. You know, we get a lot of kind of firsts with things, the kind of killer POV, the final girl circuit kind of running around and discovering all of the bodies, you know, the very much scary feeling of the calls coming from inside the house, something we would see in other films, obviously very famously in When a Stranger Calls. So yeah, this movie definitely kind of birthed some really kind of familiar great things that we know in a really loved horror genre, my personal favorite horror genre. So yeah, Black Christmas. It's a very kind of simple plot. We have some girls at a sorority house at Christmas time, and they're getting strange phone calls all night, and then kind of one by one the girls are getting picked off by an unknown killer. And then we ultimately learn that the calls are coming from inside the house. The killer has been in the house the whole time, calling them from inside the house and just picking them off one by one, seemingly with no rhyme or reason, no motive, anything like that. We don't even see the killer's face. We kind of get these really eerie shots of his eye. We get, like I said, the killer POV that we would see in horror films later, like, you know, Friday the 13th franchise. And then we have our final girl, Olivia Hussey, who is kind of left to kind of figure out what's going on and kind of defeat the killer on her own. But we also kind of give her a lot of substance and tackle some really interesting topics as well. She's dealing with a pregnancy, an unwanted, unplanned pregnancy, and she has kind of a really difficult discussions with her boyfriend. She wants to have an abortion, and I think this was right after Roe v. Wade was passed, so really kind of important to kind of a movie kind of tackling these topics right after kind of a very heated kind of situation in terms of women's bodies and abortions and that whole kind of thing. So I thought that was a really kind of interesting thing to incorporate in this film. and just kind of already showing her independence and solidifying her as kind of your typical strong final girl, with her attitude in terms of kind of not letting her boyfriend pressure her. He's kind of very upset about her kind of making this choice and not including him, but it's her body. So if that's not something she wants, you know, the fact that he kind of has no respect for her choice, but she doesn't allow him to kind of pressure her. So I like that, you know, while it is not a huge part of the plot, I think it's a very great kind of attribute to give to this character to kind of get us to understand her and kind of show her independence and strength, so that we kind of understand why she would kind of probably be the only girl left in this situation. So yeah, we do kind of have our archetypes. We kind of have the more nerdy girl, we have our kind of party girl, and then we kind of have our kind of head-on straight Olivia Hussey character. So yeah, all night they've been getting kind of these creepy phone calls, somebody talking about Billy, and the calls kind of start repeating things that the girls have said. So you get a feeling like they can hear them, and so it's very much kind of this escalation of creepiness kind of building in this film. The kills are really cool. I mean, this movie was bold enough to put one of the kills as the poster of this film. The cellophane bag over somebody's head in a rocking chair in the attic window is literally like the cover of this movie, is like the poster that you see, which I think is really cool. So yeah, we get these really interesting POV deaths. That kind of first death with the cellophane bag. We get the house mother kind of getting pulled up by this hook. The really famous glass unicorn kill. So yeah, really kind of great kills. Obviously it's the 70s, so your blood is like super, super red and doesn't look really realistic. But in terms of kind of staging the kills, I think it's really kind of scary. So yeah, you're already kind of really tense with the build of kind of these creepy phone calls, and then kind of the surprise of these kills being in the killer's perspective is really kind of creepy. The glass unicorn kill, when you kind of just see the eye in the shadow and then kind of the hands raise up, and it's really kind of artfully done. It's all kind of done, shot in between Olivia Hussey kind of listening to carolers sing, and like she's smiling and happy. Meanwhile, this is kind of kill is going on, and it's done very kind of, you know, slow motion, and you see her hand kind of, you know, slowly hitting off other kind of glass statues she has on the end of her bed as she's getting stabbed. So kind of really cool how they shot things. Kind of other creepy kills when another girl discovers the body, kind of the nerdier one. When she kind of discovers the body, she kind of goes in the room and you just kind of see the door close. So you know, oh gosh, this is terrifying. So it's a death we don't see, but just kind of the fear of like, we know what's gonna happen. So yeah, I think the kills were really cool. I think the build to kind of what was happening made for some really great tension. The kind of police situation of them kind of running around trying to figure out what's going on, and then us kind of having to wait, just like these characters have to wait to kind of get answers on what's happening. And it takes them a while to get answers because we have these cops who just kind of are blowing them off, not really listening to them. Then we get John Saxon, the sax man, coming in, and he kind of is getting stuff done. So we like to see a competent cop come in and make shit happen. So I like that he kind of actually came in when we had kind of our fumbly bumbly cop that the girls kind of play a fun trick on. We have John Saxon kind of coming in and being, you know, the guy who's going to get things done. So yeah, when we kind of get that piece of information, that very famous piece of news that the calls are coming from inside the house, it is just absolutely terrifying. And at the point when, you know, John Saxon says not to tell Olivia Hussey this, you don't want to panic her, just tell her to leave. So he tries to do this, but she's kind of just adamant in going upstairs and checking on her friends. So then he has to tell her, and just the panic of that, and how they shoot kind of her face and kind of looking up the stairs and waiting to see if the guy is going to appear, and we don't know kind of where he is, and we know he's in the house, but she still wants to go check on her friends. So like, you know, you're screaming at her, you know, so that's also kind of the start of screaming at your final girl to not do the thing that you know, that you think is dumb. It's noble, but it's dumb. Just get out of the house, just get out of the house. And, you know, we also established earlier in the film that the door isn't working. So when she can't get out, now she's stuck and she has to kind of run away, and we don't ever see our killer. So it's just kind of this creepy figure just chasing her, which makes it even more intense. We're trying to figure out who it is because there's potential that it could be her boyfriend and we don't know. So then it's kind of just trying to figure out who the killer is and if that's even important. So it's definitely just a movie that builds great tension. You know, we have kind of our, you know, archetypal girls in the sorority house, but they do a little bit or do enough to kind of give them each some solid personalities. So you're kind of interested by them. So when they die, you know, you feel a little bit of something. But I really like that they put some focus in giving Olivia Hussey some kind of meaty character kind of issue so that we could kind of understand her and get to know her a little bit more. So yeah, overall, Black Christmas 1974, a great slasher film, just built up all the tension, really kind of great to see the start of things that would now become commonplace in horror, and just kind of see the birth of those things and how they started, and kind of the roadmap for kind of what would come after. Done really well. You know, we don't ever find out who our killer is, and I think that's kind of a cool thing, because now we kind of have to know the mystery of who it is and their motive and all of this thing. But to just kind of have this crazy person and no reasoning, and we don't ever see their face, that makes it that much more scary. And the fact that kind of how it ends, and it, like, we zoom out and we see the creepy cellophaned face in the window, and the phone just keeps ringing and ringing, and we know Olivia Hussey is just laying there asleep, you know, knocked out, and the killer's still in there, and it just ends. So yeah, this movie just has such a creepy, ominous tone. You know, so many unanswered questions, which just makes it that much more scary. Even till the end of the credits, you're still kind of, you know, unsettled by it. The kills, I think, were really well done. We have some really colorful characters, and you really set up a really strong independent final girl, and some beautifully shot things. Like, it looks great as well. And the sax man being the cop that's getting shit done. So we love to see it. So yeah, Black Christmas 1974, a great slasher, the, you know, said birth of the slasher, and just a really fun horror movie, not just to watch at holiday time, but anytime. But particularly when you're kind of talking holiday horror, this is like the GOAT. So really loved this movie, and I kind of wish that 2019 would have really kind of incorporated more of these elements, because, you know, 2019 we discussed that it didn't have to be called Black Christmas, because aside from being a horror movie that takes place at a sorority, it's not even the same movie. Aside from kind of having some similar kills, it is not even the same movie. Black Christmas 2019 could have been any Christmas set horror film. And it could have really been set at any time too. So, you know, I wish that 2019 film, while trying to say some interesting things about female empowerment and you know, female issues in kind of that college setting, they could have incorporated some things from this first film that was so good, but they chose to go a totally different route. So yes, really enjoy this movie. Just great tension, great kills, just so many good things, and just really great to kind of see, again, the roadmap of what we would get later in the slasher genre. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Black Christmas 1974. Do you love this film too? Did you like any of the remakes? Let me know in the comments below. Please put a like on the video, share, subscribe, do all of the things. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much for checking out this review. And I will see you in the next one.